My brother. So just want to pick your brain on some thoughts about Nota BALOYI, with regards to the videos that had been doing the rounds on the internet, about AKA's death, seemed dope, there's a lot going on with the guy, man. He's just all over the internet.
Okay. Nota BALOYI. Well, you see, my brother, I'm very appreciative of people who are like that, people who are different. But I think we can't talk about Nota without talking about DJ SBU. And I think when you talk about DJ SBU, then it connects to Penuel the Black Pen. So these three very different characters, right? So now what's happening is that some people were fighting DJ SBU that he should stop giving a platform to Nota. The same way people were fighting DJ SBU to stop giving a platform to Penuel the Black Pen, right? Remember Penuel the Black Pen, when he started rising, I mean, he's been releasing videos. Actually, he went to Rhodes University. I remember the guy used to stand in some corner there and recite poems. Apparently, that's what people who went to school with him say. He used to recite poems on campus and all that. But when he started to emerge, like in a much more en masse way, he spoke a lot about Penuelism and that he's a god. He's God and whatever, God Penuel and all that. But with time, you see a level of maturity and he has an inclination towards solutions now. He's more the Black Pen than God Penuel. Do you see what I mean? Like his personality now as Penuel has inclined towards Penuel the Black Pen rather than God Penuel. Because he was God Penuel and there were people who were going to worship him in his cult of Penuelism and all that. But DJ SBU, what he did is that he gave this man a platform. He actually engaged him. Do you see? Like a Grootman, a real Grootman. He engaged him. He didn't just, cancel the guy simply because of a few videos that he made. He didn't just say, this guy is crazy, let's not give him a platform. Even when he disagreed with him. For example, his decision of joining AfriForum. I disagree with that. DJ SBU disagreed with that as well. But he didn't cancel the guy, He was earnest in trying to hear the guy. And I think that's the key point that I'm trying to make about DJ SBU. That guy is really, really nurturing young talent. He's really, 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 you can see he's really invested in the young people of this country. He can see the brilliance of these guys. But then brilliance comes with a price as well. You don't say that you love your mother, but you hate certain things about them and therefore you must cancel them. I'm sure your parents as well, your mother, your father, you love them, but they have some things that you don't necessarily like about them. But you don't cancel them. You give them the benefit of the doubt because you see their worth. And I think that's what DJ SBU has been doing with these guys, right? It's not just Penuel, the Black Pen, or Nota BALOYI. There's a lot of people who don't think conventionally. And there may be extreme cases where you feel like, no, Tamara, we are Tandu's father. He's always, involving himself in things that don't even involve him. But then there's a lot of brilliance hidden in that. There's a lot of brilliance. So for genius, there's a cost. There's a mathematician called, what is it called? Nash. I think it was an American mathematician, Nash. Very brilliant guy, right? But the guy, he went crazy, man. He literally went crazy. And I know a lot of these amazing scientists and mathematicians, they were very strange people, you see. So there's a price for brilliance. And I think that's what DJ SBU understands, that I can't just accept or hate one thing about him and ignore everything else about this guy. There's a brilliance within Nota, there's a brilliance within Penuel the Black Pen. So let's talk about Nota. The issue of Sim Dope. Nota says that he went to school with Sim Dope, right? And when he explains why he mentioned Sim Dope, because people were accusing him that he's clout chasing. And Nota says, no, I'm not clout chasing. I am clout. Do you understand? I'm not chasing clout. I already am clout. I'm helping YouTube platforms by going to these small YouTube platforms. They get more views because of me. Is he lying though, man? Is Nota lying when he says when he goes to these platforms, people tend to view these videos? Whether or not they view the videos with good intentions, that's irrelevant. But people do view Nota's videos. So he's saying, no, I bring clout wherever I am. So the story of Simdope, Nota says, he was trying to explain how Simdope is more than just a cheese boy. Simdope is not just the son of a billionaire. He's a very humble guy. And he was trying to explain that, you know, to extrapolate on that. That's why AKA ended up writing a song about an entire man. Not because he came from a rich family or whatever, because he's a cheese boy. No, 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 he's not. Nota is trying to explain that. That's what he says. Now, is he lying or is he telling the truth? It's up to you to decide. But you need to give the man a benefit of the doubt. You don't have to agree with him on anything, really. You don't have to agree with him, but at the same time, he doesn't have to say what you want him to say. That's the diversity of humanity.
Don't you think some of his comments might be marinated with some touch of a lie?
As I said, whether it's true or not, it's up to you to decide.
So
you want me to? So you are putting me now in a con. So let's start with the story of Simdope. No? He said he went to school with him. Do you think he would lie, man, about that?
About the tree story.
Oh, that Simdope was going up a tree. But I mean, why would he lie when Simdope is there? He could just say, no, Nota is lying. Do you understand? Like for me, an intelligent man wouldn't lie about something like that. So maybe he's telling the truth that indeed they went to school together. Maybe Simdope was climbing up a tree and he left Nota behind and therefore he fell. And Nota says, why are you laughing? Nota says when he fell, he was taken to the hospital, they stitched him and he came back the same day. And they were all amazed, oh wow. And then he said another story as well, besides Simdope. So he was telling a story of how he used to take a bull down. There I can assure you that he's lying. Do you know how big a bull and how strong and rebellious a bull is? A cow, a male cow. A bull, my brother, it's not even an ox. He was 12. He says that he was 12 or 11 and he took a bull by the horns, grabbed it and, I'm sorry man, he's lying. There he is lying. Absolutely lying. Because even there was a tradition called Nwala, the first fruit ceremony. You needed soldiers to take a bull down with your bare hands. Ne? You needed soldiers, man. Amabuto. Maybe 20 men would put it down and kill it. Not one guy. No one guy would take a bull down, man. It's a lie. Imagine a 12-year-old boy. So I can assure you he's lying there. It just doesn't make any sense unless he was extremely strong, a type of Samson, so to say, when he was young. So that type of story, I think is lying, man. But for me, the point is, you can't take then the story of Simdope and then label this guy as a cloud chaser and then not want to hear what he has to say. You need to hear what he has to say and then make up your mind. Is he a cloud chaser? He says he's not. He says he's actually clout itself. You guys, you don't understand what this guy is saying here. He said, no, I'm not chasing clout. I am clout, wherever I am.
I mean, yeah, the guy is successful, bro.
We
got to...
you have to give credit where it's due. Yeah, you have to give credit where it's due, man, you see. But sometimes, obviously, when you are in the picture, it's hard to have perspective, you know. So you need to get out of the picture, out of the frame, so that you can appreciate the picture. So sometimes when you tell stories from your own perspective, you may be a little bit distorted, you see. So he's not immune to that either. Nota is not immune to maybe adding a bit of spice here and there. And then there are some stories that you can relatively and objectively tell it's not true. Like the one where he says he grabbed a bull by his horns, put it down when he was 12. He's absolutely lying. Even you, my brother, you can't take a bull down. A bull. Maybe it was a calf, man, like it tall. A bull. Do you understand, man, how Nguni cows are so... Hey, Nguni cows are very aggressive, man. You're not going to take a bull down. So, as a 12-year-old boy, he's lying there. But other than that, man, the dude does present some valid points when it comes to solutions regarding issues that face South Africa. You know, issues such as capitalism. He's not an authority. Because remember, man, these guys are bringing commentary on various subjects. They're not the authority on those subjects. But then they're human beings. They have every right to comment on those things. They should comment on those things.
But don't you think that maybe the guys who like went to the private schools and stuff get to get access to information that people who went to public schools in the location don't get.
What kind of
Like
information?
For instance, being connected to high-ranking families in terms of the power structure in our country.
Yeah, that's true. That does happen. But then does it make them eligible to make commentary on various subjects? Actually, people who went to those schools, more likely than not, are under much deeper control of the matrix than people who didn't. Remember, these schools, these private schools, they follow an older colonial method of education, a much older. It may seem noble in the Western standards. That type of education may be noble, but then it's a much more colonial. So they tend to be much more colonized, actually. I can assure you with 100%. Anyone who'd like to debate me on this, bring it on. I'm ready. They're definitely, it's rare to find free thinkers in these private schools. They groom the same type of human people. So in the UK, there's this thing they call, there's a school, what do they call it? Eton. Yes, Eton. And then there's another one, Howard Boys School. But it's like a boarding type of school, né? And that's where a lot of British politicians went. They went to Eton and these other schools. These are boarding schools, and they groom leaders, basically. But then they don't necessarily groom thinkers. Yes, those guys are able to run the country, run it. Whether they're running it down or not, I'm not going to comment on that. But they run the country. People like, who's that guy with messy hair? That British guy with blonde hair. That guy, man, who speaks like he's burping.
I think his name starts with a B.
Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
You see, he went to Eton. I think even the other one before Boris Johnson, a lot of them went to Eton. But those guys don't necessarily know more than you and I. Actually, I know more than the average human being. I even know more than the 1% of people who have knowledge in this world. I know that for a fact. My point is, they don't necessarily have alternative views in terms of the access they have. So they do have access to a certain type of information, which is obviously curated by whoever is in charge of the curricula that they study.
I think the issue is that the minute they have a different opinion from what they've been taught, they get sidelined.
Yes, that's true.
And punished.
That's true. That's true. You saw that with COVID. These Harvard-educated doctors, professors, when they had a different opinion as to what needs to be done to address COVID, they were sidelined. They were censored. They were shut down. They were stripped of their licenses. And some of these guys went to private schools, you see. So going to private school, public school, it means nothing in the real world, because you have to follow a certain narrative. And when you go against that narrative, whether you come from a rich family or not, it doesn't matter to the matrix. You have to follow their narrative. And the moment you pose a threat to that narrative, then you're an enemy. See, so that's true. Back to Nota, man. So I just want to appreciate his brilliance. And I'm not even like trying to praise Nota, but it takes balls, my brother. It takes courage. You have to be a real man to be able to stand up and actually allow people access to you. And unfortunately, when people have access to you, they have access to the good and the bad. You see, people see the good things about you and the bad things about you. Now, people can choose to criticize you constructively or to try and cancel you and bash you, And as a man who has an ego, when you get bashed, you tend to be even more rebellious. And I think people don't think that far. Same thing happened with Penuel, the Black Pan. People really criticized him. And it's good. You have to criticize. You have to criticize me. You have to be scrutiny is necessary. You can't just accept things because, we appreciate each other. No, you have to criticize. But then canceling people because they see things differently, then that's a big problem, because then that means there must be one right and everything else is wrong. And I think that's a red flag, a big red flag. It's a banner for that matter. So Nota, he shouldn't be cancelled at all. He should not be cancelled. Come with facts, man. You see how you deal with men like Nota? You come with facts. You come with evidence-based reasoning. You see, you don't come with opinions. Evidence-based reasoning, well-informed data. And you present it like, Nota, you're lying here and here and here. And here's the evidence that you're lying. And that's it, you're done. You don't have to say, oh, cancel this guy. Oh, he's this. Come with evidence. Come with facts. You can't just cancel people. That's not how it works, man. People are not yours. So Nota is brilliant. He's successful to his own credit, you see. And I love what DJ Smooth's doing, giving this guy a platform. He must give him even more platforms now. You see, you can't, this nonsense of gatekeeping. Because remember when Meg G spoke about gatekeeping, that Umaporis is a gatekeeper in, what is this? Amapiano, you see. He complained. Some people say Meg G is a gatekeeper now in this whole thing of vodcasting and podcasting. Yeah, no, true. Some people say he's a gatekeeper. Even the content that he releases now, it has to be somewhat umgosi type. He can't venture into other spheres of knowledge. There are some people who feel like that.
That's a lie, bro.
How is it a lie, though?
It's always umgosi. No, I mean that it's umgosi. And that he's gatekeeping, because you can see, man, he has a huge crew, like many people he has recruited, and he's supporting those people.
But some people seem to have a problem with him always promoting this sexual type of content. Smash. Who did you smash here? Who did you smash here? I remember Msaki was there, and you could see she wants to cry when she's being asked about smashing, because she was with a guy who's currently going through divorce. So that thing affected her mental health. And Msaki was being asked there, did you smash? Did you do this? And some people seem to really, they don't really appreciate that. So all I'm saying is that people are entitled to those opinions as well, as long as they can present us with facts and say, look, I think Meg G is a gatekeeper because of this and this and this and that. Do you understand? We can't silence those voices simply because I don't feel like that. I feel like, no, they're lying. I like Meg G.
So let's say now, if he wasn't a gatekeeper, what would he do? And
that's the point. You see now, you're starting to engage. You're not cancelling that voice. And that's what I'm getting to. You engage with people. Yes, some people are convinced and you don't have to waste your time with them. But then you engage with people. Bring your facts. Why do you think he's a gatekeeper? And what should he be to not be a gatekeeper? But at the same time, Meg G has his own story, man, of coming up. He has his own story of coming up, and we can't cancel that story. We can't undo it. He was also disowned by the industry. We know that he's very famous, and we have to give credit for the amount of work he's done. 3 years, man, podcasting without proper recognition. 3 years. Do you understand? That means he didn't even think he would blow up. He was in love with what he was doing. And I think he has every right to run the platform the way he sees fit. But then now, when you're at that level, man, close to 1 million subscribers, public opinion is going to matter one way or another. But then public opinion doesn't always mean you have to listen to it. So what he does, he listens to the chillers. And the chillers are an amazing crowd of people, man. Chillers, hey, they're an amazing crowd of people. They buy that, what's the name of that liqueur beverage? Do you know the name of his beverage? Grandeur. They buy that nonsense, man. It's always out of stock at game. You see, so here's a backup. Chillers. And one thing I like about chillers, they do criticize. I've watched a few episodes where Meg G, he doesn't want to be disagreed with. Like, he seems to have an ego. When people try to disagree with him, he doesn't want to be disagreed with. And the chillers would be grilling him in the comment section. And I like that. You can't be walking like you're walking on shells, man. We have to criticize these people. Even Usol. I have a problem with Usol. I like his brilliance. He's a good, media personality. And he's probably a nice guy as well. But this guy he's too careful, man. He's too careful. And for me, that's counterproductive, because the whole idea of the platform is to be uncensored, to be unleashed, to be unregulated. He's too careful.
I think he still wants to go into the industry.
You think so, ne?
Yeah, that's why he's like...
Hey, because he's too careful. It's too much to watch, man. Sometimes like, no, this guy... He's really, trying to sound... No! Say it like it is. And that's one thing I like about Meg G. He says it like it is. Sometimes. And then... not all the time. Not all the time. And then they spoke about Andrew Tate. I didn't like that, because they were not educated on the subject. You don't speak about things you don't know well, man. Shut up. Let people who know those subjects talk about them. You can't just... That's the problem with cancel culture. The same thing they did to Andrew Tate, and they got backlash, yeah? Andrew Tate's fans, they were there in the comment section, hey, shut up, Meg G, you don't know what you're talking about. Because they really didn't know it. And then they got backlash. Now in the second episode, they addressed it. That's why you don't comment on subjects you don't know. Keep the hell quiet. So Anyway, the whole gatekeeping thing, I don't know about it, but I think I welcome that idea because it provokes, it triggers a conversation now as to what do we define as gatekeeping? How do we measure people gatekeeping? And what do you say about the hustlers market? You see, there's a hustlers market where black businesses through MacG and the channel, black businesses come together and sell to each other. What do you say about that? Is that still gatekeeping? Because for me, that seems like a noble, you see.
That's what I'm trying to say, man. This guy is supporting many families, bro.
He is. That's why I'm saying, like, conversations need to happen so that points like that can be raised. You don't cancel people because you disagree with them. So when someone says MacG is a gatekeeper, it's fine. Come, let's talk about it. How is he a gatekeeper? And then they present their facts, and then I present mine. And then you realize that it's not about who's wrong or right here. It's all about what that person's experience is, what that person's perspective is, and how it can be addressed, and what your experience is, what your perspective, and how it can be addressed. But the idea is to live in a way that's synchronous. You don't have to like each other, but you can live in synchronity. So that's the whole thing about MacG. So back to Nota, man, just to close on the Nota. Same reasoning. Don't cancel people. Listen to them. Listen to why they say the things they say. And now compare and contrast if it's true or not. If it's not true, it's not true. He must stop saying it. If it is true, it is true. And you can't change that regardless of how you feel about the truth. My brother, if you're a fat guy, you're a fat guy.
Do you think Nota is talented in terms of music?
I've never heard anything he's made. I don't know. Yeah, no, I've never. I think he's a manager, so
I believe he has made some songs, but he never blew up.
Yeah, no, I've never heard them. But also, man, songs they don't necessarily mean talent. Eh? There's a lot of songs that you can see there was no talent in them. Maniginig, chicken, beef. There's no talent in that song. I mean, in the words themselves, but maybe the beat, okay, maybe there's a lot of effort going to the beat and the production. So there is an element of talent there, but there's no creativity in the lyrics of the song. Maniginig, chicken, beef, cheese, and all that. It's very simple. But then the song was big. Do you see what I mean? Maybe because of the market that's available at that stage. There's another trend that's going on with Amapiano. They're taking old songs, and then they're changing them. There's this song, Mnike. You know Mnike is an old song, Mnike. But then this new Mnike, I love it. I love that song, man, you know. So that's another thing. Talent doesn't necessarily mean creating something that's not been done before. You take something that's been done before, and then you just change it. Which other one? Oh, come on. Oza, Kibela, Istimela Sasezola. You know it's an old song, Istimela Sasezola. And then this guy's recreated it, and it blew. So that's talent, because talent is really applying your creativity. And maybe even this Maniginig, maybe it's their type of creativity. There's this girl, Kanyisa Jack, or something like that. She has a song, Inkuku. You see, she's talking about Inkuku, chicken. And people like the song. So my point is, it's relative, man, according to the market and who the target audience are. The younger people are probably going to like that song about Amanikinik. Older people are probably not going to really appreciate it. So I don't know if Nota is talented, but I know he is very smart. That's why everyone is talking about him. That's why he's trending. And I think probably doing it on purpose as well. Just like Penuel. I think sometimes he's doing it on purpose as well. Like when he says
it's
all
a type
this.
of marketing.
Yeah, man. And I like it. Because you have to be strong if you're going to do that. You have to have balls, man.
Remember when he accused people, he came back and said that he went...
He went to a mental asylum. He went to a mental institution and he got jabbed.
He was cleared by 4 doctors.
He had to make sure, and he emphasized that point. I was cleared.
By 4 doctors.
So I'm fine, but I went. I was...
White males and 1 black female.
Yo!
Remember this guy?
I like him, man. I like that. I just appreciate that level of genuineness. That's the same thing I like about Donald Trump, man. I'm not saying he's not racist. If he's racist, then that's it. But I like that. I like the fact that he is what he is and is comfortable in being what he is. Same thing with Kanye West. You don't have to like everything about him. You see, you don't have to agree with everything he says, but you have to appreciate the genius that it takes for people to get to that level. Donald Trump, very funny guy, like him, also very smart as well. But I'm not gonna get into it. But these are just characters that seem to be the black sheep, you know. They seem to be outcasts. But then if you look into them, you realize these guys are living the life, man.
Man,
They're living the life.
outcasts.
They are outcasts. Even Mac G, actually. Even Mac G, you know, I like that provocative Mac G. I'm not gonna lie, man. That's why I watched the podcast and shit. I like when he says those provocative things like, did you do this? Did you really do it though? People want to know. And people start saying stuff. I like that. I don't like this safety thing that Saul is trying to do. Saul being a brilliant guy, likable guy, man, very good guy. And you can't always, and I think that's also an element of pusillanimity.
What I like about the MacG podcast is when they start calling people in.
Yeah, when they call people live, yeah. That's a nice touch to it. And I think, you know, the MacG platform can be used for even more, man. It can be used for even more. But it will take genius, or maybe not even genius, man, just intention and the level, an element of creativity. It can be used for more. It's a powerful platform with those numbers behind them. They can use it for more. But we have to be grateful that they broke the industry, man, and they opened that door. We have to appreciate that. If you don't like them, it's fine. You don't have to like them. If you don't agree with them, it's also fine. Your points are valid. Your view is valid. You are valid. Don't worry, you know.
Yeah,
we don't hate you.
I think the best way to achieve success is to actually get out of someone's control.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen this with many artists. You see, they get into a record company. After some time, they go into like a solo and they start having concerts and stuff like that on their own. And they bring their band and, you know, they get a full team and they just make it.
Yeah, because
you know.
Yeah, but because remember, when you're under someone's control, you know, you end up doing things out of your own comfort and against your own will. Let me put it that way. You do things that go against your values sometimes, because then you have to meet some targets, you have to meet some deadlines. Whereas as an artist, because humans are generally artists, you know, as an artist, sometimes there's a metaphysical element to it, a spiritual element to it. So you find inspiration in a lot of things, and that inspiration doesn't come at a particular date. It just happens. But then when you're under someone's management, they tell you, no, by this date we should have released this, by this time we should have done this. So you end up doing things now, you know, without that synchronity and that spiritual alignment. And it does affect artists' mental health as well, man. I think that's another thing to watch out for. Being owned, then you end up doing things that you wouldn't normally do. I remember 50 Cent was talking about Ja Rule and how Ja Rule is genuinely a nice guy and a church guy. And when he used to make those female-friendly songs, he did it quite good. But then when Ja Rule started to want to be this gangster guy now, he became flat, pop, you know. He did horribly. And 50 Cent was like, no, Ja Rule should have stayed within that female-friendly industry sector. He would have done really well because that's who he is. He didn't have to act. And it goes back to what I was saying the other time, that a lot of these Hollywood artists are just actors. Guys like Ice Cube, Birdman, those are not bad boys. Those guys are just nice guys, man. Chilled guys. They're not even fighters. They're just actors.
Is an actor as well.
Absolutely. He has to. Casper Nyovest is a character, the name itself. The guy is, what is his name? He has a Tswana name.
I don't even know his name.
He has a Tswana name, he does have a name. So he's a character, he's acting. They have to act, man. That's the whole thing about the industry. All of them are actors. They're not real. Now, when you find real, then that's where the problem begins. No, let's cancel him because he's real. No, Baba, you can't be canceling people here. We need these guys. We need the Notas. We need the Penuels. Even the sellouts. Come, bring Maporisa, bring Maporisa in, man. Let's see his side of the story. We can't just call him a gatekeeper because MacG called him a gatekeeper. Let's hear his side of the story. Why is he called a gatekeeper? And what does he think about himself being a gatekeeper? Maybe he is, maybe he is not. Nobody knows because there has not been an engagement. So when you try to defame people by labeling them completely out of your own personal perception without actually engaging them, then it leads to what we call cancel culture, and we're all against it. So, man, let's appreciate genius. Let's criticize. Let's scrutinize. I welcome scrutiny. Come, scrutinize me. Challenge me to a debate. I want to be challenged. I'm ready. Come. I want to be challenged, because that's how then you grow. If you can't handle disagreement, you might as well go and hide under the bed or somewhere in a closet. This is not your world. There has to be scrutiny. There has to be criticism. But at the same time, I'm against cancel culture. Completely against cancel culture. Because there's no chance for education now. You can't be able, you're not going to access that person and educate them or even learn about them as to why they say the things they say. So ultimately, we need to stop canceling people. Disagree with them? Good. Engage them. They don't want to be engaged? Ignore them.
So where do you see the future of podcasts regarding the cancel culture as well?
I think we've gone past that here in South Africa. I think there's going to be more tolerance as time goes for alternative views. Now, the danger is in bigger podcasts being gatekeepers. As I said, some people are already thinking that MacG is a gatekeeper, you see. And their views are valid. Now, that's where the danger is going to be, where big companies, corporations, because they recognize the inevitability of this podcast, they'll come through, offer, look, we are Amstel, we're going to work with you, here's 5 million rands. And you see the difference it makes. Another deal of 10 million rands, and you see the difference it makes. The moment a 15 million rand comes, there's going to be stipulations now. As per the contract, you have to curate your content like this. Now you end up being in control. Now when there's third-party control, it will lack that genuineness that attracted people to the platforms. Because people they don't go to podcasts because there's nothing on TV. There's something on TV, but it's not what people want. People want real, raw, and unfiltered. Real, raw, unfiltered, that's what people want. So the moment podcasts stop being real, raw, unfiltered, they'll die. But I don't think they'll die. I think they'll just evolve. There's going to be more alternative underground platforms, which is where Nota likes to go. These underground, small platforms, that's where Nota tends to go. And I like that about him. You see, I like that about him. And I don't think any podcast is better than the other. I think each podcast has its own place. As long as there's people who are willing to view and subscribe and pay as members, then let that podcast be there. So the future, there's going to be like an evolution, man. It's going to change. Some are probably going to be captured. Rest in peace to them. But yeah, we'll continue keeping on pedaling, because this is our lifestyle. This is not a trend for some of us. We've been doing this. We've been in the fringes, been called names, conspiracy theorists, lunatics for a while, man. So we'll keep on pedaling. Peace.